It's really starting to smell like a Kaju Katli now. So today we're making Kaju Katli or Kaju barfi as some people call it also. This is a super popular Indian mithai during Diwali. It used to be one of my favorites as well as a kid. I always thought the silver leaf on the top was really fancy and super nice. So this has always been one of my favorite Indian desserts. And it also just so happens to be one of the easier ones to make as well. As you can see, there are very few ingredients involved. The main things are the cashews, a sugar syrup, a little bit of cardamom, and that's basically it. Today we're also making two versions, the traditional Kaju Katli and a chocolate ganache covered Kaju Katli with pistachios and gold leaf. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is grind up our cashews into a nice fine powder. This step is pretty important. You don't want to overgrind your cashews as it'll release its oils and turn into a paste instead of a fine powder. So don't overfill your grinder and try to get it in one go. Once it's ground up, put the cashew powder through a sieve to make sure we get rid of any big pieces and to get the powder as fine as possible. This step will ensure you get a really smooth Kaju Katli later. Next, we're going to make our sugar syrup. Add half a cup of water and 1 cup of sugar to a pan and on low heat, stir it continuously. We're not looking for any kind of thread consistency, we just want to dissolve the sugar in water. That's it. Once that's done, add the cashew powder and cardamom powder and cook on low heat, stirring continuously. What we're looking for is like a doughy consistency, so make sure to keep mixing and to keep cooking it, but don't burn it, and use a non-stick pan as well because that's gonna really help here. You don't want the dough to kind of stick to the pan. When the dough has formed into a single lump and it looks really fudgy, then it's ready and you can turn off the heat. Transfer it onto a baking paper, spreading it out so that it cools. Another tip to check if you've cooked the dough enough is to pinch a little bit off and roll it into a ball. If it forms nicely and doesn't stick to your hands, that's when you know it's good to go. Let this dough cool a little bit until it's a little bit more comfortable to kind of get your hands stuck in there and knead it. So this is going to hurt a little bit because we do need it warm, so it's still going to be, you know, a little too hot to handle, but that's how it's going to have to be if we don't want it to dry out too much and we want it to still be malleable enough for us to knead it and get it nice and soft. So we are going to protect our hands a little bit. Before you do that, we'll wet our hands and grease our hands well with butter or ghee, and then we're going to get into it. Keep folding the Kaju Katli in, kneading it until it looks really nice and smooth. And then once you're happy with it, shape it into a rectangle so it's easier to roll. Okay, so just get another piece of baking paper, lay it on top, get your rolling pin. I'm just going to turn it this way so it's easy to roll, and roll it up. Take nice long strokes and try and get it to an even thickness throughout. Okay, let's have a look. Ta-da! Okay, you can see it's really nice and smooth over here. Yeah, so it's looking really good. I've got it to maybe, I would say this is about a 1/4 centimeter thickness, which is perfect. And we're just going to leave this aside to cool for a little bit before we cut into it. While the Kaju Katli cools, we're going to make our chocolate ganache. Okay, so we've got a double boiler here, which is just some hot water on very low heat, and I've placed my little glass bowl over it. And we're going to melt our chocolate in here. So you can melt the chocolate in the microwave as well in 10-second bursts, but I'm going to do it this way as well because I'm going to add the butter and the milk to it to kind of thicken it up. So I just want to do it here so I can slowly kind of look at the texture as well while I do it. Add 100 grams of baking chocolate to the bowl and let it melt. Add 1 tablespoon of butter and a 1/4 cup of full cream milk. Mix everything until it looks really smooth and glossy. And then set it aside, and by now the Kaju Katli should have cooled down enough for us to cut into it. So I've set aside half of my Kaju Katli for the chocolate, and this half is going to be the traditional. And this part's always tough, cutting it out into nice, perfect little diamonds. So you want to use a ruler as a guideline so that you get the same amount of thickness. So first we'll make lines going down vertically, and we'll just use the edge here to make marks out. Once you've made your vertical lines, using the same ruler, make lines diagonally at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so now comes the delicate part of putting the silver leaf on. You just want to make sure there are no fans blowing nearby, or there's no air coming in from anywhere, because silver leaf is very delicate, so it will go flying. Most of the silver leaf comes in sheets like this. Over here, I'll show you. And what you want to do is grab your sheet. And if you think it's a bit too dry and it's not going to stick, just get some ghee or butter and rub it on the top of the Kaju Katli. And you don't really want to waste the silver leaf on these tiny little bits, so just get rid of that. Okay, put that aside. Kind of just want it on the good bits. Then just lightly press the silver leaf down and peel the paper off. Don't worry if it doesn't come off evenly, that's all part of the look. Just keep going till you've covered as much as you'd like. Next, we're going to work on our chocolate Kaju Katli. In a small baking tray, piece together the smaller bits to fill up any gaps in the tray. Pour your chocolate ganache over, and on half of it, sprinkle a bit of ground out pistachios as a garnish. Now we're going to leave it to set for an hour or so. Once it's set, cut it up into little squares, and on the plain chocolate pieces, add a bit of gold leaf on random little spots. Use as much or as little as you'd like. The gold leaf and silver leaf are absolutely not necessary. It's purely just a decorative thing, so only use it if you want to. Okay guys, there you have it. That was my recipe for Kaju Katli, both traditional as well as a bit of a modern spin on it with the chocolate ganache, gold leaf and pistachio. Which one do you guys prefer? Do you like it more traditional, or do you like it a little bit different? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.